color kids, this is Katie Carty-Hiley from RainbowBrite.net. Welcome back to the Rainbow Land Museum, and welcome to my very first Rainbow Brite PSA. Basically, there have been some rumors out on the internet that the Rainbow Brite comic series has been canceled, and I wanted to just pop on and let you guys know that no, it hasn't been, and also explain why some people thought it had, and tell you why I know it hasn't. And we'll go from there. How about that? So, first thing that happened that kind of set this rumor in motion was that issue 3 was delayed. The only reason it was delayed was because the internal artist, Brittany Williams, was sick for a short time, and it just got her behind on her work, so they had to wait until she was better so she could complete it. That's all it was. She was just sick for a little while, but once she was all better, she clearly finished it up beautifully, and the rest of the team was able to do their parts and get the issue out to us into our lovely waiting hands. So that's the only reason it was delayed. There was nothing else going on there other than someone being sick, because, you know, that happens in every job. So it's going to happen in comics as well. And I thought I had mentioned that at some point in one of my videos or somewhere on social media, but it's very possible I forgot. Because it was just the holiday season. You know how crazy that can get. So my apologies if I forgot both, to tell you that that is what happened with that issue. But now that we have it, it's kind of a non-issue. But just FYI, a little bit of history there. Also, people were seeing, and it's still there, if you go on Dynamite's website and look up Rainbow Brite, on issue 5, it does say last issue at the top before like the rating and the number of pages. There's like there's a list of information that they put out about each actual issue. And for number 5, it does say last issue. But we have known that there were going to only be 5 issues of this arc ever since the beginning, like ever since this was announced or very soon after. So this isn't new news, the fact that number 5 is the last issue of this arc. But I can see how a lot of people may have missed the memo, so to speak, because it was only in a couple of interviews, as far as I can remember, that Jeremy said that. So if you weren't watching and listening and reading all the interviews at the time, you may have missed out on that piece of information. And again, I'm sorry if I did not repeat it. Maybe I should have thrown that in somewhere, or maybe I did. I don't know. But yeah, if you go back in my video interview with Jeremy Whitley from late August, that's when he first, as far as I know, first said that. And I'll even link in the description here to that timestamp in that video, because it is a long video. It's over an hour long, so I get why not everyone watched the entire thing. And he doesn't even say the quote that I'm talking about until right at the hour mark. So if you tuned out, 30 minutes into it, you missed this. But I will link directly to that, so you can just go right to that timestamp and watch/listen to his quote about that very issue, saying that it was just going to be 5 issues in the first arc, and then there would be a trade paperback after issue number 5. And that was also in an interview that Kenneth Mogan did for, let me find the website, rediscoverthe80s.com. This was in early September, so just, probably a week after my interview, he did an interview with Jeremy, and there's a quote on there. The question he asked was, how many issues will the first arc consist of? And Jeremy's answer was, the first arc is going to be 5 issues, but it will lead right into the next arc. So this is something we have known basically since the comic was announced, way before it came out. It didn't come out till October. So we've known about this for a while, or some of us have. I say we as if we all knew, but I understand that some of you may have missed out on that information. So that's why I'm here, to do this lovely public service announcement for Rainbow Land. So I just want to make sure you all have the latest and greatest information. And also there's a quote from a Newsarama article, or interview I should say, with Jeremy, also from late August of last year. And Jeremy said, I have a pretty rough plan for the first 3 or 4 arcs and a pretty solid plan for the first 10 issues or so. So he has definitely been planning this out in his mind for quite a while, and he has many more stories in his mind, many more stories he wants to tell past these first 5 issues, past this first arc. He definitely has more content brewing, and may have some of it even written down, I don't know. But I'm sure he's probably waiting for the go-ahead before he puts too much of his time and energy into writing past the 5th issue, just in case it doesn't come back. But in case you're still worried, even after that evidence and that explanation, I did actually, I just straight out asked both Jeremy and Hallmark, has the comic been canceled? And they said no. And if it were canceled, they would know. They're the people, working on it and approving it and so forth. So, yeah. I don't need to repeat that. If it were, they would know and they would tell me. They're not just gonna lie to me because they're good people and I know them well enough to know they wouldn't just lie. If it was something they just couldn't tell me, they would just say, I'm sorry, I can't tell you, or I don't know, but they wouldn't just lie to my face. I know them better than that. So I'm confident that it has not been canceled at this time. I made some notes here so I wouldn't ramble on for too long. Let me see here. But okay. So yeah, it hasn't been canceled, but they also could not confirm that, yes, there will definitely be more issues after the trade paperback. They don't know yet. Basically, the way it works in the comic industry, from what I've heard from them and from other people, is a lot of companies will wait until a trade paperback comes out, wait a little while past when it comes out to see how well it sells, and then based on that, plus the information they got from the floppy sales. I learned this is a new term to me. I didn't know that single issues were called floppies, but they are because they're floppy. I thought that was hilarious, so I just wanted to let y'all know. So they take the sales information from the floppies and the trade and use all of that to make the determination of whether they're going to continue or not. So they just don't have that data yet, and they won't until probably this summer when the trade comes out. I had this further down in my notes, but I'll go ahead and mention trade paperbacks come out a few months after the final issue of an arc. So we don't yet know the release date for issue 4, just because the schedule got a little wonky with the issue 3 being delayed. But once I know it, I'll let you guys know, obviously. But once 4 and 5 come out, don't expect the trade paperback to come out like the very next month after 5, because it won't. Typically it takes 2 to 3 months after the end of an arc for that to be published. And actually it's on Amazon right now as a pre-order, and it's saying like June or July, I think, for the release date, which might be accurate, but I'm not certain. So don't hold me to that. That just has not been released officially yet, I don't believe. But they even have like an ISBN number for it and such on Amazon. So I think it has been, yeah, it's coming. We know it's coming. We've been told it's coming. So even if it's not available for pre-order on Dynamite's website yet or on Comixology yet, it's coming. So just hold on to your rainbow pants. It's coming. Let's see what else I wanted to say. Also, I want to let you know this is common in comics, especially for Dynamite, to do this like 5-issue arc and then a trade paperback and then perhaps more. And there's a couple of examples I can give you from just last year that did the exact same thing. So this isn't just Rainbow Brite, not that they don't have confidence in Rainbow Brite or anything like that. It's just the way things are done these days, at least with some companies or some titles. 2 examples I can give you from Dynamite specifically. Charlie's Angels and Nancy Drew. If you look up those titles on either Comixology or on Dynamite's website, you'll see they did 5 issues, exact same format, 5 issues of each, and then a trade paperback. And actually, I don't think the trade is out quite yet on either one of those. One might be out, but they're either coming out this month or next month. But the last issue for each of them was October 31st. So again, there's that 2 to 3 month gap between the last issue of the arc and the trade. So just to give you an idea of how they typically work, I don't know if they're going to be continuing those. Like I said, the trades are just now coming out or just about to come out, so they may not even know yet, because they're probably doing with those what I assume they're planning to do with Rainbow Brite, is to wait until after the trades come out, see how it sells, compared to the floppies, etc. Take all that data and make a decision with it. So yeah, but I just wanted to let you know that this is not uncommon for comics to do this. So hopefully that will also help ease your mind if you were worried that it was getting canceled already. Let's see here. I might have mentioned this already, but just real quick, trade paperbacks sell better than floppies because they're available in more stores. So floppies are basically just available in comic shops. Hallmark stores actually have had some issues I've seen copies of issue 1 of the comic book in some Hallmark stores, but that's not usual. You don't typically see a comic book in Hallmark or any other store. Even like Barnes and Noble, they'll have trade paperbacks and graphic novels, but not just single issue comic books, because they're a lot more fragile. You know, the paper's thinner, they're very floppy. Getting handled in a bookstore or whatever, they would probably get damaged really easily. So they wait until the trade paperback is available, which contains all 5 of those issues in one book. So it's nice and thick, it has a thicker cover, so it's hardier, and they will sell those in bookstores. And in other stores. I wish I could tell you exactly where, but I know that they are sold in more stores. And also libraries will purchase graphic novels and trade paperbacks and stock them in libraries, because again, this would last 5 seconds in a library. A little kid would pick this up and it would be torn to pieces in 2 seconds. But a trade is higher quality as well. I'm sure the pages are practically the same, but the binding and everything is higher quality, so it's hardier. So yeah, so that makes a big difference too. When a book is available in more places that people shop, the exposure gets out there. They see that it's a thing that exists, and then they want it and they purchase it, and that just increases the sales. So just in general, trade paperbacks sell better than floppies do, and I'm pretty sure that's like every comic series. Maybe not ever, but at least in recent years, I think that's kind of just the way the industry works, how it's become. That's just the norm these days. So it's not surprising to me that they're waiting until after that comes out to see how sales go to make a decision, if that's what they're doing, which, if I were that company, that's probably what I would be doing, honestly. So I'm not surprised by that or concerned by that. Let's see here. Right, okay. If the series does continue, I do not know if it will be a straight continuation like a number 6 that would just come straight after number 5, or if they're going to do another number 1. That's also very common in comics, where each arc has its own, like the number sequence just keeps starting over. It doesn't necessarily continue. So even though the story will pick up where the last one left off, the numbering may not. And what they'll typically do in cases like that is they'll have like a subtitle to differentiate the arcs. So this one has just been called Rainbow Brite. That's all it says. The title is just Rainbow Brite. So if a second arc comes out, it could just be like Rainbow Brite Volume 2, or it may be Rainbow Brite versus the Forces of Evil. You know, it could be any kind of subtitle or anything like that to differentiate it from the first arc, just so people who are reading them or collecting them know what goes where, because it can get confusing otherwise if they're all named the exact same thing, but there's 2 number 1s. You're like, wait, what is the actual number 1? But so that's why they do that, just to differentiate them. And it is very common for comic companies to do this, because issue number ones typically sell better than issue 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever number. I'm not quite sure why that is. Maybe it's just people checking out new comics. They see a number one, they're like, oh, let me check that out and see if I like it or not. I'm not sure all of the psychology behind that, but that's, again, kind of an industry standard from what I can tell, what I've been told by a few people. So I don't know what they're going to do if they continue it. I just hope it continues. I honestly don't care how they do it. Some people might not like, or might like one over the other, if that makes, yeah, I think I said that right. But I honestly don't care at all. I just want more. I want more of this story because I know there's so much more, that needs to be told. Like, there's so much more that still needs to happen. I just can't imagine there's any way for it all to happen in 2 more issues, because that's all we've got left in this arc. Because we've still got, she's got to find the belt. She's got to find Starlight. She's got to rescue the Color Guardians. She's got to defeat the King of Shadows. There's all these things that need to happen. And I don't see any way, unless they just crammed all of that in and took out all of the exposition, which would be silly, and I wouldn't like that at all. I really like the exposition of this series and how they are kind of taking it slow and explaining things along the way. It's almost richer that way, in my opinion. Like, if it were just over super quickly and, okay, first issue, we meet her, last issue of this arc, everything's done, well then what's the point of continuing after that point? So we need there to still be more stories to be told, more conflicts to be resolved, and I'm totally okay with that. But I do hope this at least gives us some form of, not closure, but I hope it ends on a happy-ish note of some sort, just in case it doesn't get picked back up. But again, just intuition, hoping, I don't know. I think it will, but I just don't know. Nobody knows yet. Even Jeremy and Hallmark don't know yet. That's just, yeah. It's up in the air, but not canceled. There's a difference. There is a big difference between actually saying, this is canceled, there will be no more of it, and we're just not sure yet. Let's wait and see. So yeah. If it ever is actually canceled, I will tell you. Trust me. And I'm sure there'll be like a press release of some sort, or a tweet, or something from a reliable source that will actually give us that information. And one last point, when I was talking to Kevin, he actually said over at Hallmark that once issue 5 comes out, that he would love to do another interview with me. Yay! So look forward to that. I'm definitely going to take him up on that offer. So after issue 5 is out, I'll just have him back on, ask him some more questions. So if all of you out there in YouTube land and Rainbow land, if you have any questions that you would like Kevin to answer after issue 5 comes out, just put it down in the comments and I'll keep a little list going, and I'll be happy to ask him some of your questions as well. So hopefully that answers all of your concerns and questions and squashes some rumors that have been going around lately. But if you do have any further questions, just, again, put it in the comments. I'm here to answer and continue talking about this with you guys, because I'm loving this series so much and I want it to go on forever and ever and ever, obviously. So cross those rainbows, color kids, and until next time, have a rainbow day. Bye.